ready to go. But anyways, we'll start now. I'm Cade. This is Sasha. We
How you?
both went to college Charleston together. He's still there. I just graduated with public health, and he's in computer information systems or computer science. I don't know which one it is right now, but you want to tell everybody how we met and how we became friends?
Yeah. It actually happened my freshman year of college. So I guess that was 2017, almost the end of 2017. And we both took Japanese class together, but we weren't in our main Japanese class. We were in the same discussion class. And so we didn't really know each other back then. So like you sat on one side of the room and like I sat on the other side of the room. And like you were doing your own thing and I was trying to like talk to people and like, try to make friends and stuff like that. And before then, like we didn't really talk, but every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I had Japanese class at 12, and like you had it before me, and so you already went to Japanese class and like turned in your homework. And so before my Japanese class, I had computers. I had like Python and Harbor Walk, and so I'm over there for the majority of my morning, and then I come back right before class. So I'll go to either cafeterias like Bistro or Liberty and like sit down and do my homework before class starts. And I can never do my Japanese homework at the time. Like I was having trouble doing my hiragana and like my katakana and like doing basic sentences. And I saw you sitting in one of the seats, like talking to somebody. And I was like, oh dude, like he's in my class. Like let me go like ask him to like help me with my homework. But honestly, I really wanted you to do my homework instead. So I was trying to like get you to actually.
Is that really why?
I was actually trying to get you to write my homework for me, so I didn't have to do it because I was running out of time. And so I go talk to you. I was like, "Oh yeah, show me." Yeah, you were telling me how to do it, but I was just telling you, like, "No, show me." Like, yeah, can you like read this one here? So like you could just show me a couple of examples, hoping that you start writing, and like you just like, oh, okay, hell, like you just keep on going without thinking about it, and like eventually it'll get done. And I was like, oh, dude, thank you. And you helped me with the homework that day, and I was like, oh, peace. And I left. And then same day, Wednesday, I came back to do my homework in the cafeteria, and you was there talking, doing some of your, I think you were in calculus, business calculus at the time.
Yeah,
you were doing
I remember
business
that.
calculus. And every day from Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I kept on coming to you, trying to force you to do my homework before my Japanese class. And like after that, when we had discussion, we started sitting together. Like you moved on my side, and we started being partners. So we were partners in our Japanese discussion class. And after a while, you eventually asked me, like, do you want to have lunch on Friday at Bistro? And that's when I met like David and everybody. And you introduced me to everybody because every Friday you got me at Bistro to get burgers and like stuff like that. And like you started like saying, yeah, like come Fridays we go eat and stuff like that. And you started inviting me to other things, and then eventually we just kind of started doing that for like the 3 years that we like known each other so far. Going on 4 years, coming up this year, going on 4 years, and we knew each other, and then we just kind of started hanging out ever since then.
That's crazy. I kind of forgot about that first meet. I remember when we met at Liberty. And I forget who I was sitting with. It might have been like Emma Ferguson or something.
No, you were by yourself. That's when you first started talking to Meg.
Oh yeah.
She had like
It was like the second day I knew her when I met you.
Yeah, like she had a face mask. Like she was helping you with your business calcs because she said she was really good with it.
Yeah, she was good. R.I.P. to that. But God, big R.I.P. to that. But that's funny. I completely forgot about that. I didn't even know how we had like continued. I knew we had class, and I knew we'd started sitting together and like dicking around in discussion with was it Yamaji Sensei?
Yeah, Yamaji
her name?
Sensei.
Yeah, that was so much fun. I remember that. But all right, well, I guess it's a pretty intro. I kind of forgot about that. But so I was gonna say that like we both also have like a super philosophical way of thinking, and I think mine definitely like exponentially went up after I started doing certain things. But yours has always just come like naturally. Like you just always had that way about you. So we always had like really good discussions.
Always been curious about things, but like I guess I was always an idealist more than a realist. And then
no, for sure.
I guess like also clouds me in certain judgments, because I guess it kind of distorts my idea about what things happen in the real world and how things should be. Because I guess I'm more imaginative,
Yeah.
and I think more outside the box, more like theoretical, more like what if this, you know. And so I always just been curious about things, and like not much about people, I guess, but just more about emotions, and like, you know, how people feel, and like what those feelings bring upon other people, and like how society shapes us as a whole, you know.
Oh, I just switched the view. Oh, I like this a lot better, actually. That way it doesn't keep switching over. Okay. All right, we'll just continue like this. But yeah, I don't know. If you were to do those things that I've done, I don't know if that would help or make it like so much worse. Like,
I don't know. I
you think
believe
it'd be
in
like a
trying
great
things.
thing for you?
Huh?
You think it'd be better for if if you did it, it'd help you, or you think it'd like I don't
Like
know what would happen.
I always have the motto, like, I always believe that you should try things, no matter the good or bad effects of it. Because once you try something, you understand the goods and bad effects of it. You understand what good it does for you, and you understand what bad it does for you. And it actually teaches you, it gives you experience about it. So if it's good for you, you'll keep on doing it. You know, you're going to make it part of your daily life. And also it's going to help drive you in your daily activities. If it's bad for you, you understand to stay away from it, that this is not something you should do. And then you can also educate other people about, you know, why they shouldn't do this.
Yeah,
If you never tried it or experienced it, how can you really talk about it? How can you tell people not to do it?
That's very true. That's definitely
So I
true.
always think,
Yeah, I
like,
think
you know, in those types of things, it's good to try things. You know, don't go overboard. You know, just, you know, experience it, understand it, and if it's good for you, like, keep rolling with it. If it's bad for you, you think it's not for you, just, you know, get away from it. That's what I did with drinking, and that's what I did with some other stuff also.
Yeah. I remember when you chugged that whole bottle. Was it like a Mad Dog or something in my dorm?
Oh yeah, I took the
Like your
whole bottle.
freshman year?
That's when like I really started drinking. You know, I started just like trying to drink, because I didn't drink till that was sophomore year, junior year.
Yeah, probably sophomore year. I mean, you did a little bit your freshman year, but not so much.
Yeah, I didn't really drink that much freshman year. I started like getting drunk with you guys probably sophomore, junior year.
My God, man, I forgot that lifestyle was crazy for like that first semester.
Yeah, well,
And then we definitely calmed down after that.
I
So I
really
had the
think.
girlfriend, and I don't know. But anyways, all right. So we transition a little bit into the reason we're doing this podcast. The main reason, which is talk about like the Black Lives Matter movement and kind of like both our experiences with like that type of stuff, but then like a little bit with like I don't know. We'll just see where it takes us. But yeah, like it's been crazy. It's been like a movie almost. Like just like we were talking about The Purge the other day. I kind of want to watch it, but I kind of don't want to, just because it's some like freaked me out. I feel like, I mean, it's like real world stuff now. But what do you think about it?
About everything that's going on.
Yeah, like man, like the riots and stuff, like the stuff that happened in Minnesota, like the thing that sparked everything.
Yeah, I think the whole thing. I think it was just a matter of time. You know, I'm a big supporter with everything that's going on with the riots.
Yeah.
Being if they are, you know, let me get it wrong. Let me get it straight that, you know, I'm not so supportive of destroying local businesses.
Yeah.
You know, that had nothing to do with what the message we were trying to, you know, express. You know, the police station, I really don't mind. You know, it was symbolic. That's like,
that
you
was
know,
gonna happen. I feel like they
yeah, that was
couldn't
gonna
avoid
happen
that.
regardless. But however, people have to understand, like, you know, 10, 20 years ago, you know, we asked nicely, you know, and like if you like shaped it to an idea where, like, if I say like this, you know, if I went to a store every day, I go in this store, they say like, you know, like, I like sweets. I go
You
to
do
the
love your
store,
sweets.
I go to the store to get some gummies or something.
Yeah.
And every time I go to the store, they tell me they don't have gummies. They don't have anything. I ask nicely because I know they have them. I see them. You know, they're right behind you, dude. Like, I can tell they're right there. I ask nicely, like, can I have gummies? Like, you know, they're my favorite snacks. You know, this is the only place I can find them. You know, and they won't sell it to me. But I see other kids come in here asking for gummies, and they're selling these gummies to all these kids. You know,
Really?
I leave. I come back. This is theoretical, but just trying to express
Yeah. Okay.
this is just trying to express my idea about the riots and everything going on.
Yeah.
I leave, come back. I come back every day, asking for gummies. Each time, I guess my tolerance is slowly getting lower and lower.
Yeah.
And he's still like giving candy to these kids all the time, like more candy in front of me and telling me like I can't get any and telling me to leave. After a while, I'm coming here with a gun. I'm telling him, bro, give me the candy.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, let's talk peacefully. And I'm like, no, forget that shit. I asked you months ago. I asked you sincerely, can I, as an individual, as another citizen, as everybody else, buy this candy? I have money. I work. I do everything everybody else does. I'm a citizen too, and I have the same rights. I asked you nicely a long time ago, and you didn't want to listen. So now you want to talk nice when I'm trying to. Now I'm expressing forcefully that I want the same thing that what everybody else can get. That's why I feel like it's the same thing situation here. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, we were asking for just civil rights, just civil. Yeah. We're not asking for equal rights. We're just asking for civil. Can we get like fucking civil rights?
Yeah.
And so now that people are rioting, destroying things, now people want to talk nicely about things. Like, we need to, be educated. We need to have a higher tolerance. We need to discuss things peacefully. It's no time for that no more. Like, we asked for that like 10 years ago. Now it's time for us to show a demonstration that, we're not people that say, always submissive and saying, why me? We're like, try us. Once you try it, you understand that we're not going to push anymore. And now we're pushing, and now you go see the consequences of, not listening to us in the past. And so
that's a super interesting take on it.
And so that's why I support everything that's going on. I think that it was a time that was going to happen eventually, that people are going to push it to a point where there's no, people are not going to take it anymore, and people are going to revolt, physically. They want to prove something to you, and like, we're going to prove it now with everything that's going on.
It's definitely been coming. I mean, I thought with the rise that just happened, that's what I thought would happen when the Dylan Roof thing happened here in Charleston. And I was shocked that there wasn't nearly this much that had happened when that had happened before. And I don't know if it had to do with like the coronavirus. Everyone was like cooped up in their houses for so many months. And then this thing kind of just like put everybody over the edge. It was just crazy, like the turn of events that happened, like the coronavirus for a while. And everyone was saying, stay inside, don't leave the house. And then, this horrible, like inhumane video comes out. Something that's, not that specifically has already happened, but like, police brutality on Black people isn't like a new thing. It's not like it hasn't happened before. But this time it was like, that was hard to fucking watch. I remember David had sent it to me a couple of days before it like went viral, and I watched it and I was like shocked by it. I was like, that was fucking awful to watch.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like a gun. It wasn't just like boom, dead. He was crushing his neck.
Yeah. I think it's like a TikTok video. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Police brutality has been going on for a decade, probably more than a decade now.
Yeah.
You see how George Floyd, how much buzz this is getting, but just like a TikTok video, there's so many TikTok videos of the same stuff.
Yeah.
People doing the same dances, people doing the same challenges, people singing the same songs. But there's one video of one person that just blows up, giving them millions of hits, and that's like the symbolic part of it, that where people always go to. It's that one video that blows up.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the same thing. This has been going on for a while. People videotape things. Now, this is not the first videotape of a Black person dying, but this one blew up to a point where, it's sending a message out, and now everybody's seeing it,
What do you think about the people who are posting? Like the people who like, it's just weird because like the people who are posting like every day, like just like a lot of white people I see who are just posting like the Black picture on Instagram, or they're like attending a protest or a riot. Like, what do you think about that? Just because like it had to take this video this time for it to go viral, for them to like, I don't want to say jump on the bandwagon, but like, people did freak out over the Dylan Roof thing that happened, but it wasn't nearly this big. There wasn't like a pressure kind of to support for a lot of white people. And now like people are just posting on Instagram and saying like, you need to help out, you need to help out. Like, I don't want it to like die out in like a month when, you know, the next big thing happens and then people start posting about that. Like the goal is to keep this momentum up. I'm just kind of worried that the people who are posting on Instagram are just doing it because, you know, they feel like it's helping or whatever. They're only going to do it for a couple of weeks kind of thing.
I feel like I remember when everybody would start posting it, you know, even I started posting stuff at okay, let me change that. When everything started happening and after I saw everything, you know, I posted this one big message to show unity for Black, you know, African Americans. And after that, I didn't post anything else about it. I already said what I needed to say, you know. But you know, then you start seeing people doing like the black screen, the black screen, posting everything on there, and then you saw all the people posting on their stories and stuff. And I remember this one girl on like I followed, she posted something and I read it, and she said, "Nah, if I unfollow you, it's clearly personal. It's 10,000% personal. Because if you're not posting anything, if you're not trying to support the riots or all this other stuff, then like I don't need to follow you." Yeah. And I checked, and she unfollowed me.
Oh.
And I was like, it's just my unpopular opinion, but trying to shame people, you know, to post things about Black Lives Matters, about, you know, George Floyd, or just everything going on, I feel like it's not fair or helpful.
Yeah.
I feel like we all seen the video. We all, you know, took it a different way. And I feel like we all, you know, do things a different way. I don't feel like people necessarily have to post anything, because really, what is that doing for you? You know, like what is that actually doing? How is that actually helping? Just posting the same like black screens, or like, you know, stuff like that, you know, not really making changes, you know. So I feel like, you know, you shouldn't really shame people into doing that, because people take action in a different way. Just because they're not posting on their social medias or anything doesn't mean they're not out there trying to make change, out there trying to spread the word and like to like correct people and educate people on things. You know, just because I don't post anything doesn't mean like I'm not making big moves outside in the real world. You know, people are like has this huge scope about social media.
Yeah, they do.
Where like, you know, like that's not reality. Reality is where we at right now, where we go outside and walk around, where we actually meet people. You know, that's what we need to change, not this fixation on social media and how this is, you know, you posting just every day about random stuff. I don't feel like that's not really helping.
What do you think there's something that would have to happen for it to actually take effect? Like I don't know. I know that a lot of people are like, this has changed them more than anything else before, but like, do you think something like this has to happen for like, what's the word? Just like change to happen, is just as far as racism, like, does it have to be something like this that gets people to change the way they see the world and do that? Or do you think it's even possible?
So you think, like, so is your question like, do I feel like, you know, do I believe that something like this is necessary to spark change, or is it something?
Yeah, like is that what has to happen for people to start paying attention and like facing like the whole thing with like white privilege? Like there's still somehow people out there who deny it, and I'm like, there's no denying it. Like you just have it, or like if you're white, then there's certain things you don't have to worry about, and there's just things that don't come across your mind, and it's just because you're white. It's not like you did anything for it, but you can't change that fact, you know. But
I feel like, you know, back in the day, like my great grandma or something like that said, "Oh, when you're older, you know, things will change," you know, and then my grandma would be like, tell my dad, you know, when you're older, things will change. Yeah, it's kind of like a cycle. But just like how in computers, you know, you go Word document and you're trying to save something, and you say like you already have that name saved in your computer, and it asks you to override it. So that means basically like put the new one there instead of the old one. And so you say you hit overwrite, and it overwrites that file. Now it's a new file. I feel like that's what's happening now. Maybe a few hundred years ago, we all kept on saying change is going to happen, change is going to happen, and slowly we're overriding it each time.
Yeah.
So now, like, I feel like now people are more inclusive now. So I feel like, our generation, we don't really care about white or black people. Like, we're not really concerned about who's white, who's black. Like we are all individuals. You are you and I'm me. And that's it. And I feel like, as time goes on, even now we have, like you said, we have people that are still, racist and stuff like that. Next generation is going to overwrite that, and then a new crop of people, from who are going to learn from this right here are going to be, in that next generation. And those people are going to be different. Those people are going to be more open-minded, more globally aware. They're going to learn from those past mistakes, and now it's going to be even more inclusive, and slowly it's going to keep on going until eventually it's going to wipe it out.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good way of putting it. I hope that happens. I think we're on that road. Obviously, there are tons of people still who aren't anywhere near that like level of just like open-mindedness, which sucks. And there'll probably always just be people who are just too stubborn, or maybe the way they're raised or whatever. But
also,
what were you about to say?
No, keep going. I just let you continue.
That was the end of my thing. I just said so at the end.
So I just want people to understand, like, the cycle of hatred is never going to end, though. And what I mean by that, love is the reason why there's pain. When we lose somebody precious to us, hate is born. Vengeance is the product of hate, and that also brings upon death. And death follows that.
Yeah.
But in death, there's only more death. So as we kill, there's more killing. And like right now, you can see everything now. People are dying, and that brings more death. Everybody's killing people now. This will give rise to more pain. More families going to be hurt. More people's friends will be hurt. We as people are going to feel empathy and stuff, and we feel those pains also. And this cruel world we live in now, because of this pain that we're bringing to us, it's a cycle of hatred that will never stop, because we all have greed, we all have pain, we all have different definitions of vengeance and justice. Your justice might not be the same thing as my justice. Your pain might not be the same thing as my pain. Your ambitions might not be the same thing as my ambitions. I might feel like I'm superior to you, being as an individual, for us being white or black, me feeling like I'm superior to you in school, more educated than you, me in the workforce feeling like I have a higher position than you. I can feel jealous of you depending on, I feel like you have more friends or you have more money than me, you have a better life than me. I can feel greed. I want what you have. We all feel like these type of emotions. But at the same time, I feel like you and I, or everyone, we seek the same thing Martin Luther King or Malcolm X wanted, and we had to realize, how do we confront this hatred in this world? The hatred that we all have in our own hearts, in order to create peace, Yeah. And if you don't share someone's pain, you can never understand them. You can never understand them because you can't share their pain. But just because you understand them doesn't mean you can come to an agreement. So even if I can understand your greed, doesn't mean that, I can stop that pain that you're going through, blow out that flame that's in your heart. And that's just the truth of the matter. Sometimes you must hurt in order to know pain, and fall in order to grow. In order to gain, because I think the greatest lesson are learned through pain,
Definitely.
And I feel like justice comes from vengeance. But that justice only brings more vengeance. I feel like we are all but men and women drawn and act in the name of vengeance, that we deem to be justice. And I feel like what happened now is a clear example of that. But if there's justice and revenge, then the same justice would bring only more revenge, And so it's just, and trigger a cycle of hatred. And I feel like that's what's been happening for centuries now. Just by
Definitely.
living, people hurt others without even realizing it. So as long as humanity exists as a whole, there's no peace
Yeah.
in this world that we're living
And there's
in.
always gonna be conflict. Yeah, for sure.
And so
Um,
this is just a crime that we have to face until we cease to exist. Because there's
mhm,
always going to be emotions that we can't understand between each other. You know,
definitely.
someone's going to have more greed, more empathy. All this emotion stuff that anything can spark war,
Yeah.
anything can spark controversy, anything can spark riots. And like one individual starts that,
Mhm,
and out of 7.6 billion people,
yeah.
nobody can understand that many people.
Yeah. It's crazy. You know, like those people who say like I don't see color. Like it's like the people who are trying to help in their own way, and they think that like by saying that they don't see color, I treat everyone just like as a human. I know some people are on board with that, and some people are like that's cool, and then some
They're
people
ignorant.
are like no, some people are like that's not at all we want. So like, what's the end goal with like anti-racism and being against people who are racist? Like, is the goal to get to a point where people say they don't see color, or what does anti-racism in a society look like?
I feel like people who say they don't see color, they're just ignorant. I feel like, they're just trying to run away from the problem.
Yeah.
Because right now, this world is built on labels, and that's not going to change anytime soon. Everything is constructed, this society as a whole is constructed by a label. And so you're saying you don't see color is just an excuse that you're saying that you're running away from the problem.
Yeah.
You're not, you're not strong enough. You don't have enough courage to accept who you are as an individual. And so if you truly want to accept the things that are going on in this world and truly accept the people in this world, you really have to understand who you are as an individual. You need to know where you stand in this world. You have to understand that you're a white individual. I have to understand that I'm a black individual. I have to understand that there's limitations that I have in this world. You have to understand that there's limitations, but also less limitations that you have in this world.
Mm.
And that will close the threshold and that will make things easier. But you just discarding that there's no labels in the society and saying you're just, I feel like that's just running away from it. I
Yeah.
feel like one just has to understand who they are in this world, where you stand. Once you understand that, it's easier for you to express your opinions about things. It's easier for you to
Mm.
educate people on this, about things, and easier for you to understand things as a whole because you understand who you are. You understand, like for example, white people understand. A lot of white people, I'm not gonna say a lot, like you understand that you have white privilege. Okay,
Mm.
understands you have white privilege, and that there's things that you benefit from that. You
Yeah.
understand who you are in this society, and
Mm.
you understand like what other people where other people like you stand in the society. Thus, that
Yeah.
gives you an opportunity to shorten the threshold and be able to speak upon your peers, speak upon black people, and come to an understanding about things.
Mm.
To actually have a conversation about things because we both understand who we are as individuals, and we can learn from each other from it.
Yeah.
And thus, is slowly shorten the threshold,
Yeah.
and eventually, maybe there won't be no threshold.
Yeah. I mean, there's just no way I could know. I mean, I could know from your stories that you tell me, but I could never like understand what it would be like to be black. Just like you wouldn't know what it's like to be, white or like bullied because I was Asian earlier in my life or whatever. Like you
Yeah.
just wouldn't be able to understand because you didn't live it in the same way I couldn't. Um, but I mean, I have like an interesting view just because I look pretty much white, but I'm half Japanese, so like I have that bullying past that kind of like shaped me to who I am now. And that like I think allowed me to be more open minded because like I've dealt with that whole thing of like not understanding why I'm being treated different for something that I can't change or do anything about. And I don't think all people have any kind of experiences. I think a lot of people don't have anything like that. So when someone accuses them of having white privilege, maybe they get triggered because they have nothing to fall back on that like would have taught them any kind of lesson earlier on. And so they're like, well, what do you mean? Like, why am I getting punished for something that I can't control? And then they get mad and then they say something like, well, I don't see color. And I don't know. I feel like that I don't see color stage is like the second level above. It's like racism or not racism maybe, but like yeah, we'll do like racism, and then like not caring about the race, which would be like I don't see any like races, I just see people. And then you get to a point where you start to realize like, okay, there's definitely races and it matters. But you don't have to be mean or treat people like you don't have to what's the word, like discriminate because of race. You just have to be able to understand that everyone has different experiences and values and stuff, and the races and like the ethnicities and religions and all that does matter. So you can't just shove it under the rug just because you don't want to deal with it or talk about it because it makes you feel uncomfortable. But
Yeah, I always feel like it's a self mechanism. You know, I feel like people, especially people in America, hate change. I
yeah.
feel like we're so comfortable and we normalize the things we're taught when we're younger in this society that when change happens, we get defensive and then we start, and then we get angry. And that's
Mm,
when we start spouting about, I don't see color or like all lives matter or like, because once change happens and what something go against the beliefs that you always had, you get defensive
mm,
about it. You feel
yeah.
like, like, why am I wrong? What
Yeah.
does this have to do with me? Like, why
Mm,
why do I have to take blame for something that is out of my control? And that's how they
yeah.
get defensive about that because, it brings upon a topic that go against what they were taught when they were younger. And it's just a self mechanism for them to spit that to cover up that, they don't truly understand what's going on,
Mm,
you know?
definitely. I had someone, I'm not gonna release who it was, but someone who he's he's like 70 something, I think, so he's a little older, white guy. And I remember I had a conversation with him and his wife, and we were talking about, I forget what the specifics of it was, but he was saying it was about an article about just people being treated differently, and he had said something that like triggered like my whole family. My sister would stop talking about it, but he had said, back in the day, like black people just didn't care if like people were being or something like this happened or something awful happened, or like they just didn't care. They didn't say anything, and we were just like, dude, like, yes, they did. They just didn't, maybe they didn't have a platform or something to talk about it or whatever. But he literally just didn't get it. And there's some people who have just lived in a certain way for so long that they just can't accept it. Even if they try, maybe they just can't get out of those ways of thinking. Maybe because it's not like he hates black people, but he definitely has some beliefs that are just core that he just grew up with. That I don't know if he would ever be able to change that kind of belief, which is kind of scary. But
I don't think that's like not necessarily this fault. I feel like we all are the product of the society that we live in.
yeah, totally.
And that's just the product of the society that he lived in.
Yeah.
You shouldn't really blame him, but the society as a whole that created him to be like that.
Do you think it's his duty though to? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it's like to be 70 until I'm there. But like, I just feel like once you get to a point where you like to start to not ask questions and not try and educate yourself, and you kind of just like stay in the boat that you were in 40 years ago. I mean, he hasn't been in the workforce for 30 years. So everything he thinks about the workforce is based on 30 years ago. Everything he thinks about, pretty much everything that, like, unless it's on TV that he happens to see it, everything he thinks about is 30 years old, you know?
Hmm.
And so like I think it's his duty to like keep up a little bit and at least stay somewhat connected to the society that he's in right now. Like, why would you not be? But what do you think about that?
No, I totally agree. I
Yeah.
totally agree that as time moves on, things change, people change, the environment change, and at the same time, it's your duty as an individual to move with those changes. you know, just like how it was 30 years ago when you kept up with the latest fashion trends or the latest things that was happening on the news. That's not something you just stop. That's
Yeah.
something you keep on doing because like you're still living in this society. You're still, there's still things you need to be concerned with. Being whatever it is, being like mortgage or
Mm,
bills or like society as a whole, you still have a responsibility to keep up with it to understand like what's going on with your own society.
yeah,
So
definitely.
him neglecting that just because he's saying I'm an old person, or like not saying that he's an old person, but just saying like, this always seeing it in a 30-year mindset. I feel
Mm,
like that's just neglectance.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I just couldn't believe what you'd said. I mean, I just feel like it has to be common sense. I guess it's not. Since we're like out there, like it's common sense to me. What's it called, Charleston, uh, where I was in orientation, where Stephanie, our boss, was like trying her best to like keep that diversity going and keep that conversation going. And I think CFC does a decent job, at least, of trying to spark that change and like giving people a platform to talk. And maybe if you're not in that area of society and you're not like surrounding yourself with those kind of people, maybe you get left behind. But I don't know. How do you think CFC does with you know, that whole sector?
And like and diversity as a whole.
Yeah, because I know our diversity, it definitely sucks. Even though I thought it was better when we looked at the stats,
I think the
it wasn't
stats are.
great.
I don't even think the stats are true. I believe that someone told me that the stats, is actually lower than what the stats actually say.
Lower for what?
So the percentages of like Hispanic, Black people, and stuff like that is actually lower
Really?
than what the stats actually say.
Oh man, that's not
And
good.
so, as I think CFC does, I don't think CFC does a really good job with diversity. I think
Yeah,
our international rate is like 1%.
yeah, it's tiny. It is tiny.
So like,
Asians is 2%.
yeah, like I feel like you know internationally wise, I feel like it's like one. I start internationally, then I kind of move on to Asians, Black people, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Internationally wise, this is global awareness. This is where like you can open up people's mind, let new cultures in, and to educate other people about the world, educate people that you're not the only person that live in this world. It's more than
Mhm.
America. There's so many things to learn about the world by
Yeah.
bringing international people in. And I feel like we have a 1% international rate where we rarely bring any people in.
Yeah.
We even canceled our international programs for next semester, while other schools are still continuing to let international students come in. So now, like,
Yeah.
our international rate is 0%, and we only have a few more international people at our school that that stay in America and finish things up. You know, as Black people, and I get to Black people as a whole. I rarely see Black people at my school. Don't get me wrong, I do see Black people, but you have to really look for Black people. You have to be very
Yeah.
involved in the activities that they
Yeah.
provide. Being like sororities or fraternities, being the different clubs they offer, or like the different activities that Black people collectively come together and
Mhm.
produce. You have to really look for those.
Yeah. It's true.
But if I didn't really look for those, I rarely would see any Black people.
Yeah. When I did orientation, our groups were I would have anywhere from 10 to 30 people in a group, and it was pretty much like 90% white. I would say maybe 5% Hispanic, or like maybe something else, and then like maybe one black kid or one black girl or two. But it was crazy. I mean, it was nuts. The amount of recruitment that we get is just all white people.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And I
like,
feel like
so
I think that at the same time, like, how do I describe it? Like, I feel like CSC can do better into they can do better into trying to not advertise, promote, more diverse people to come into this campus.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they can do better into give them a bigger platform for Asians, African
Mhm.
Americans, and people to express and to actually grow as a whole, and actually populate the city. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like we have the different clubs, the Hispanic club, the Asian club, and like push them all the way over to the multicultural center, you
Mhm.
know, and like this small little area, you
Yeah.
know, where like
On the
the
side of
main,
campus that no one
yeah,
goes
on the
to.
side, yeah, no, like people rarely go to,
Yeah.
where like other activities are in the cistern, or
Yep.
where Maybank and Robert Scott Mall is, populating everywhere,
Yeah.
but then you put all these other things on the on the side of the corner, um, I just don't understand that, you know.
Yeah. That sucks.
And so like I just feel like coming to CFC is really big on saying, we're very diverse. I remember when I graduated high school, I got their pamphlets and stuff.
Yeah.
And, it talks about how diverse they are.
Yeah, they do a good job marketing it, but
Yeah, but when you
they don't
get there,
come through really.
when you get there, you see and actually experience it, you feel like, it's very mundane, very foreign to you,
Yeah.
and, and I feel like you kind of feel like a Hollywood sign. You
Mhm.
feel so close but so far away.
Yeah.
You can't really relate. And it's
Yeah.
and it's you kind of normalize it. You go through your day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes it's good to see people like you.
Mhm.
You know, shows you that you're not alone.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
I feel like the COC does a really bad job of actually demonstrating diversity.
Yeah. I would say so. I agree with that. And we got the Asian president, President Xu. That
Mm.
was interesting. I mean, I think it's good to have someone who's not Glenn McConnell. Um, but I thought it was a little weird since we have such a tiny, tiny Asian population. Um, so I mean, I'm sure they have some type of plan. Like I don't think it's like a coincidence they picked someone Asian. I think they probably looked for that like specifically. I
Mm.
still know, like I don't know what that reason was. I didn't really attend much of those meetings. I know we had a couple that we were invited to for orientation. Um,
Uh,
but I mean, I think he's trying to spark some stuff as far as expansion. But I don't know. I guess I'll have to try and keep up with it. But I'm not going to be there. But
I agree. I feel like he is really trying to spark spark something. I feel like
mhm,
he's been very involved in the campus activities.
yeah.
With the school community as a whole.
Hmm.
Trying to understand the students and like what their needs are. Like
Yeah.
really, it's really hard to tell because he just started. So how far will he go? I really don't know. But honestly, like you can see that he's taking more initiatives to be open
Yeah.
about who he is, and like what he's trying to do, and allowing criticism and comments come his way, so
Hmm.
he can understand like what actually does he need to improve on, what actually he needs to do.
Yeah. Um, so while we're on the CFC topic, I don't know if you want to talk about this. We can cut it if you don't. But remember I think it was a year ago, maybe two. I think it was 1 year ago about the CSL thing that had happened with that you had like gotten in trouble. Some girl was like not happy with something that happened there. You remember that?
Yeah, yeah, I remember.
I don't know if that had anything to do with race or like white. I don't know if she was white. Like, I don't know any of the
I mean,
details really besides that. But
um, it always comes to the back of your head,
yeah,
sometimes you joke about, it's probably it might be because I'm black, you know, and I'm not going detailed into exactly what happened, but just know like I was at CSL that day, and I was getting tutored in a certain subject.
yeah,
Um, things were fine. I was just being friendly. I was talking to her. Asked how her day is. What major you are. Like what's your ambitions. Just
mhm,
keep a positive mindset through studying.
yeah,
While we're studying, like get to know you, and you can get to know me as a student. I feel
yeah,
like it's a good way to like meet new people and to make connections with
yeah,
people. And so I was just talking, having a conversation and stuff like that. And after we talked for a while, I was doing my homework and stuff at the same time. You know, nothing seemed, wrong at that point.
yeah,
She was talking, she was answering my questions, and I was answering her questions. She could have said anything at any moment about, oh, you just need to study, or like, stop talking, you're
mhm,
going a little too far with the question, whatever.
yeah,
And I remember Constantine, Constantine.
yeah,
He came back from Greece,
mhm,
and Greece is big on their sexuality
yeah,
with Greek gods and the sculptures and how they carve
mhm,
the sculptures. I remembered he came back and he like got me a little box, and I opened the box. It was like a little what do you call it, chain, little chain of a Greek god's dick. I was like, what the fuck is this, dude? He's like, yeah. He's like, dude, these are like on the Raven, Greece.
God,
and he's like,
dude, of
here,
course
dude.
he would get you that.
And he's
That's
like,
so
here, let
funny.
me put it on your chain.
Yeah.
And I let him put it on my chain because he told me about, how big sexuality was. He told me about, the Greek gods and the sculptures and how, there are, sculpted to be perfection, with their body parts and stuff like that. And so I was at the CSL at that time, and we were talking at the time, and I was like, and she saw my thing. I was like, yeah, my friend Constantine got it for me. And I told her about, Greek history, and about, like why this, why they make these objects and like what it symbolizes and stuff. Half being funny, half being educational, and just sparking conversation and controversy about different cultures and stuff like that. Eventually I finished and stuff like that, and I left. I said, it was nice to meet you. I met my friend, was there. She's a tutor. And I said, I'm just going to go to my friend next. And so like I went to my friend, me and my friend left together. And so we left. And then after a couple of days, I got like an email to come in and like talk to the people. And they came and talked to me and saying like, they wouldn't tell me who said it or whatever. I guess you could say she said it. But people said that, you were talking about inappropriate conversations, or like talking about questions that, shouldn't be asked and stuff like that. And I was respectful my entire time. And I said, I understand your concern. However, I feel like I didn't do anything wrong. I feel like in the CSL, it's a good opportunity to meet new people and to spark conversation with those people while you study. And so like me and that person had a conversation. She didn't say anything about the conversation, and she was enjoying it. I was enjoying the conversation. I did not say anything inappropriate and throughout the conversations. I didn't like, they said I did something maybe sexual also. Like I said, I didn't even touch the person. Like at most, like we high five before we left.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can verify that with my friend, that she's a tutor and she saw us.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can ask my friend, like you can call her or wherever, like you can bring her here and she will, verify that, I didn't do anything wrong. And I said that I admit that I did talk about Greek gods' penises, but I admitted it. And I was like, but I said, like, I told her about the culture and the idea behind it and why they did it. If this is a souvenir, but this is also history itself. There's nothing wrong with it. And like you saying that, me talking about like culture and history is wrong, then I don't feel like.
That's not really fair. I remember when you told me that, I was just like, there's no way, like, because when you told me all the details, I couldn't remember just now, but like I remember thinking when you told me, like, that doesn't like add up. Like, why? There's no reason you should have been in trouble for that. Like, we've hung out hundreds of times. I've been with you with girls. We've gone out like drinking with girls and stuff. Like, I know you're not gonna do anything weird or like aggressive or anything remotely close to that. And I was just shocked. And then like when you went to Japan and you told me like some of the stuff that's going on there, I don't know if that had anything to do with like the culture shock that the Japanese people have when people from other countries come. Like when I'm in Japan, people like stop and stare, or they'll ask to take pictures with me. And it's just weird. I don't know. I know there's not that many Black people in Japan. I know a couple of people that my mom's friends with have white husbands, a couple have Black husbands, but for the most part, the Japanese people they stick together, and they like to remain like fully Japanese. But I just remember when you were telling me that's like what had happened in Japan, I was just like, it just didn't make any sense. I was like, because you showed me the text messages and they were just like so superficial, just like, what are you guys doing tomorrow? Like, good to see you guys kind of thing. And then I forget what they had like said, but I don't know, it just didn't add up in my head. And I didn't know if that was like due to culture shock or race or anything. But what what was kind of your experience with that?
Just like from the last experience and this one, I like just put them together just so like I can get my whole point across.
Mm-hmm.
Anything happens, I always ask myself, I always victimize myself. Like did I do something wrong?
Yeah.
I need to change my behavior. You know, and one thing about being black, I always have to do is, I always have to watch how I behaved.
Mm-hmm.
I always have to watch how I talked. Always have to watch how I dressed. You know, and it made me self-conscious about the things I do, the things I
Mm-hmm.
say, and how I act around people because I don't know how people would interpret me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in a way. And so for the last situation, you know, maybe the conversation, went wrong. Maybe I whatever, but it raises suspicions. Where was it because who I was
Yeah.
that made them like suspect that I was showing ill will in the situation. I don't know, and like I would never know that. No, but all I can say is that it's always a learning experience about the things that happen. In my times in Japan, I think it was big culture shock. That was my first time out of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessary, but like yeah, like that was my first time out of the country. I went to Japan. I always thought I found out how big the world is, and how
Yeah.
small I was in this world, how much I need to understand the world and the people around it and like being people, cultures and whatever. I feel like there's so much I to learn, but also I found out, you know, it's the same bullshit just in a different place.
Yeah.
Like it's the same shit, like just the same shit in America going on. It's the same bullshit that's going to happen in other countries also.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you talk about the instances that I have, like I said, I'm not going to really go in detail about things that
Yeah.
happen. You know, talking about my experience in Japan being black, once I got to Japan, it was different, but I didn't think it was out of discriminatory or prejudice. I think it was out, you know, well, knowing. I think they did it
Yeah.
unknowingly. I feel like, Japan is an isolated place where people really don't, deviate from it,
Yeah.
and
Definitely.
I feel like, when I come in here, they don't really see anybody of my color.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of being discriminatory about it, they're afraid
Yeah, they're afraid. They just act
and
weird.
they don't understand who I am as a person. And so, because they don't understand me and who I am, they try to stay away from me. And so like every time I sit at a train station or something like that, there's clearly an open seat and they see it, but they choose to sit somewhere else which is more crowded, you
Mm-hmm.
know, just because they see me. But I don't think it's because they're racist or
Mm-hmm.
like discriminatory. I just think they don't have any experience or like they're just unknowing. And I'd rather you be unknowing and be able to be educated than to be knowing and still do it.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's when you show prejudice and discrimination.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Japanese as a whole can be educated, and like you can see it now in Japan, in Osaka, Kyoto. There are not big riots, but friendly protests about Black Lives Matter. People are coming home, people are spreading and try to educate. They're trying to open their doors and be more,
Yeah.
globally aware.
That's great.
And so overall, like my experience as being Black, obviously I have my ups and downs. Being like people want to sit next to me, people,
Mm-hmm.
always like come and like grab my hair and touch it. you know, asking if it's my real hair, like how do you wash your hair? Is it
Mm-hmm.
fake and stuff like that? Having this some type of obsession about things where
Yeah.
you kind of realize that, do you only care about my hair? If that's why you come in and talk to me,
Yeah.
you know, I had my friend, I'm not gonna say her name, just, because I don't know if she wants to be named in this, but
Yeah.
she was also Black in Japan. She had nice, beautiful curly hair. Nice, beautiful curly hair. She was mixed. So she has
Mm-hmm.
like really lavish, beautiful curly hair. And everybody would come touch her hair, grab it. Oh, your hair's so beautiful. Like, like, why's your hair like this? You know, like, how do you wash it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to a point where she felt like that's the only reason people came to talk to her.
Yeah.
That's who she was, but just because she had like her hair. And one day she cut it all off.
In
She
Japan?
just got scissors, she went to the bathroom, just
Holy
chopped
shit.
it off.
Jeez.
And she came out and we saw her. We were like, what did you do to your hair? She said, I chopped it off. And we were like, why? And she's like, I don't want to be known just for my hair.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to talk to me because they want to get to know me, not because they're just fascinated by my hair.
Yeah.
You know?
That's crazy. Damn.
And so it was like stuff like that, you know, we felt like, you know, people were just fascinated with us, but not actually trying to understand us and actually understand who we were. You know, there was a girl, this Japanese girl, I don't know who she was, but like she said she only dates black guys. We were like, what?
She was Japanese?
Yeah, she was Japanese.
She lived there, or she was like one of the people with you guys?
No, she was just a Japanese person we met out and about.
Wow.
And she said, I only date black guys. We were like, why? You should date, like, it shouldn't, why does it matter if he's black?
Yeah.
You know, we didn't understand that, you know, but like she had this fixation about black people. And like we met her black boyfriend. Some chubby dude with some, you know, chubby cheeks, you know. Yeah. And we realized she didn't care what black person she was dating. She only cared that he was black. And so she got any black person and started dating him.
Yeah.
And we're just like, you know, we just like, why are you, like, why is this? Like, why are you so fixated on dating a black person? Like, what does that symbolize for you? Like, what does that do for you? Like, you know, we're not like an item. We're not like, you know, we're not an object for you to own. Like we don't like possessiveness. You know, you're trying to possess us. We felt like people were trying to possess us. You know. And so, you know, we were just puzzled about some of the things that we experienced while living in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of people also don't know. I mean, it's hard to like know unless you get to know someone that like you're so like what's the word? Like you're super deep in your thoughts, you know? And so like you have like super like deep conversations with people, and like that makes it, well, for me it's easy because like I'm also like that, and so I have no problem. Like we've both like confided in each other about like certain things I wouldn't say to anybody else probably, just because like I know the type of person you are and like your view of the world is like similar to mine, and so I can like open up about things in like certain perspectives that I wouldn't be able to with someone else, just because maybe they don't have the experience in that, or they just like don't have an opinion on it. But you've always had like such a good view of the world, and like I don't know, you're just super open-minded, and I think that like almost scares some people because like they don't want those kind of conversations. Like they want the superficial, like just talking about fucking bullshit that just doesn't matter, you know, or like what party they went to or whatever. But like you and me are more interested in like good conversations about real stuff. But
exactly. And I feel like I think the thing I fall in love with most, and this fall in love with anybody, just being like good feelings, you know, being good feelings with you, my family, you know, my friends, is that it's good conversations, you know, things that we can express openly and that can expand into other conversations, into deeper conversations, which open my mind up, which open your mind up. It shows my faults. It shows your faults. You know, you teach me something that I didn't know, you know, about things. And, you know, I fall in love with those good conversations. I have good feelings, and like, it makes me happy because, you know, for example, I realized I didn't understand how close-minded I was when I went to Japan.
Yeah.
You know, and I've always considered myself a pretty open-minded person. But I didn't know that I consider myself open-minded into American standards. Right.
Yeah. That's just certain things you can't get unless you know, experience it firsthand somewhere else.
So when I went to Japan, I found out how open-minded I really was, and how closed-minded I was, and how when things I don't experience, when I experience things that are not the norm for me, I get defensive, and then I start saying like, "Why do you act like that? Why are you like? Why aren't you straightforward? Why don't you speak about anything? Like, why are you always saying no? Like, why can't I say why? Like, all these different questions." And I realized, and then like it sparked to me like how closed-minded I was.
Yeah.
And it sparked to me that how similar I am to a lot of other people in America, and realized that, also somewhat I'm superficial at the same time. And like understand that I get defensive, and I don't understand things that go beyond my norms, and I realized that, but at the same time, when I came to that realization, it sparked change. It sparked me understanding that, I need to open my minds beyond what I already knew, beyond the scopes of America, and understand that I need to open my mind up to the world itself, open my mind up to the people that live in this world, and understand that, I'm not the only person in this world. America is not the only, place in this world. Everybody has different viewpoints. Everybody grew up in a different society that helped shape them, and I had to understand that. And the only thing I can do is, speak my opinion and speak and educate what I think. And it's up to them to choose to accept it or not.
Yeah.
And if they don't choose to accept that, then that's your choice. And I can't be defensive about that. I can't question you or be defensive about something that it's your nature and that's how you were raised, And so me falling in love with good conversations brings about, opening my mind up and going beyond my thoughts that I had. My thoughts become transparent, and it penetrates the wall that was there, and opens my mind up even further to let me express newer and better things.
Yeah, definitely. That's dope. And I think some people are scared to, like, if they find maybe that they're close-minded about something, they get defensive, but then they, like you said, you were able to spark some change in you. And some people don't like that feeling, and they just shut it off, and they just try and forget about it. They think they don't need to change, like, or they think they're good like how they are or something. But and people have to grow, and like if you're not scared to grow, then the sky's the limit. And yeah, so that's dope. That's dope that you're able to pinpoint that, and even make a move after that. So that's dope. But let's see what else we got here. I think there was one thing I wanted to talk about early on. Oh, did you ever have like any? So I think I had told you before when I was younger, like I got bullied for being Asian, whatever. But did you ever have anything growing up where you were treated differently just because of, I don't know, like anything? So I don't know how it is upstate, but
yeah, I always thought I was a curious child, going to elementary school, first in going up to elementary school, high school, middle school, high school, then college, demographically and statistically, my class as a whole was about 85% white people, where my, black people were probably about 14 to 15%, which that's probably maybe about 15, 14 black people in my school. In my class, my school was probably 90-something% throughout my whole elementary to college career, college, exploration, about 90%. And so all I saw, was white people my entire life. And and I normalized that. And I was very curious, about things, about why I was black. Why was Jesus white and have blue eyes? Why was his apostles all white when they came from Israel, which is in Egypt, Egypt, which is also in Africa? I asked, why was Tarzan white? Why was Tarzan the only one that is able to speak to apes and animals when the Africans themselves couldn't speak to apes and animals? I was like, why is good white? Why is black evil? Why do we have the White House? Why do we have white cigars?
Yeah.
Why is everything, white? And if I think about my childhood and growing up, I feel like I was a imposter. I felt like that, I was trying to show a fake Cade.
Yeah.
I was like, my whole persona was a fake Cade. That I didn't really fit in, and that there any moment that I could be found out and they could take me away and
Imposter
surrogate
syndrome.
and surrogate me
I've had that too.
as something else. Growing up when I was younger, I felt very distant, very disconnected with my peers. Not really be able to connect with them. I didn't really relate to them, and that made me speak out. That made me act out so I can get attention. And then I realized that maybe I need to spark change. But actually, I realized that I had to conform myself.
Yeah.
I started, studying like they do. I started dressing like how they dressed. I started talking like them. And all these things I thought was change. I thought I was becoming who I was supposed to be in this world. A better me. This is who I'm supposed to be. But really, I was clouded and realized that, I was just being what they want me to be. I was being one of them. And when I realized that I was being one of them, it kind of shocked me because it destroyed my whole progress.
Yeah.
I realized that I didn't change. I was just, a wolf in sheep's clothing,
Yeah. I feel that.
And so, realizing that, I never really realized it because I normalized it, that, I had to talk a certain way. We have this thing called white people talk. I remember me and a group of people were sitting down, and somebody took a call, and she was talking to her boss, and she hung up, and we were like, "Oh, you were talking in your white person voice." She's like, "My white person voice?" I was like, "Yeah." Everybody was like, "Yeah, you were just talking in your white person voice." Like, we all have this white person voice.
Yeah.
This calm, this very submissive type of voice.
Professional. Yeah.
Yeah, this professional, this very
it's disgusting.
voice that we all use, and that's something
Yeah.
we get when we're younger.
Yeah.
And so,
totally.
I had my white person voice that I had to use on a daily basis. I had to dress a certain way. I dress, button down shirts, khaki shorts, Steve Madden's polos, wearing Nike tennis shoes, wearing New Balance tennis shoes, and like I said, I have to watch this how I portray myself, and not realizing it wasn't because I disconnected with them. Me disconnecting wasn't the problem. I wasn't the problem. That was just who I was, and that disconnect was always there.
Yeah.
But realizing that I never changed, but I just conformed.
It's conformed. Yeah.
Was a real shock to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. I notice that all the time. Like, even when you're on the phone with someone, your voice changes, or and I love to see my friends, especially, how they change in different groups. Like, if they go hang out, Sarah Beth in particular is funny because she has a personality that only comes out when she's not at the house with me and Devin. And it's super outgoing. I don't know the word. I guess the word would be preppy to describe it. The same voice that it comes out when I'm serving.
Yeah.
And I serve, traditionally it's 99% white, rich tourist people at Luggerheads on Folly. So it's I have that voice that just comes out. I can't even stop it. It literally just happens. And then, I go inside, put in my work, I put in the food they want. And then I talk to my coworkers, my voice completely flips to just how I usually talk. But it is definitely weird, how you just change, and I don't really want to, like conform to like a waiter type of talking, and like I try not to change like anything about myself when I go with like different groups of friends, or if I'm like talking to a boss or like an interviewer. Like I try and remain like as close to my core as I can. And if things change, like I try and make it like, if my voice changes, like that's not a big deal. But if I like start talking about stuff that's like core to me, and I start just, you know, disregarding it just because of the situation I'm in, that's when it starts to suck. um so I definitely get what you're talking about there. But
Yeah, it's a big thing, and I think it happens to a lot of us. I think when I found out that it was me conforming was my 11th grade year in high
mhm,
school. Growing up and stuff like that, I started like seeing certain things, some certain things I didn't agree with. But there was an incident in my school where something, and I thought I did the right decision with the decision I made, but everybody thought that, everybody disagreed with me. And of course, like all the people I hanged out were white people. They were, they kind of shunned me. They said like, so I will tell a little backstory just to understand what I was saying. A girl was getting, not necessarily a bully, but a girl was, speaking illy of another individual. I
mhm,
told them to stop multiple times. They wouldn't stop. They still kept on speaking illy of that person. And I told them to stop multiple times again. They still kept on speaking illy of another person. And eventually I said, if you don't stop, I will tell the individual that you're speaking that much illy, like that badly of
mhm,
them, and let them handle the situation. Because I don't think you should be talking behind people's backs. Like, you want
yeah,
to say shit, like, say it in front of them, you know? And they still kept on talking shit. I was like, okay. So I handled the situation, and I told them I let that person handle the situation. I thought I did the right thing. I thought, I was being what they wanted me to be, someone righteous, someone who, you know, tried to mediate situations, someone, who is, you know, edu- someone who's educated and trying to be responsible.
yeah,
But, they just saw me as someone, they were like, you were in the wrong.
mhm,
You were wrong. How can you be a bully? And
yeah,
all this other stuff. And that shocked me, you know, and I just realized that, I'm not like you guys.
yeah,
I can't act this way. I can't talk behind people's back. I can't, like go on boats and steal and like drink alcohol and stuff like that. I can't like do this and that. I can't yell at the police. I can't do
mhm,
this and that. And I realized that, this is not who I am. And I really had to find out who I was as a person and
yeah,
like, find my own convictions, find my own beliefs, and like find out who I am as a person. And so that's, I think, after people started shunning me for something I thought that I was doing the right thing, stand up for somebody, I distanced myself from that, started being who I thought I was supposed to be, started being, realized that I'm a Black individual, and that, people will cut you off at any moment
mhm,
when you show um that you're not a sheep but you're a wolf. you know
yeah,
and I realized that, I learned that the hard way, not necessarily the hard way, but like I learned that by losing people that I thought were my friends, people I grew up with. And so I think, especially growing up, you have to have a huge tolerance.
huge, yeah, totally.
Growing up, people would say like, oh, you're an Oreo, you might be Black but you're white inside.
People said
you
that to
know
your face?
Yeah, they said, they usually
Jesus.
say, they said stuff like that to me all the time. You know, I'm like, at school, like people were not harsh. I didn't really experience racism like that. I think the most I experienced was microaggression.
Mhm, yeah,
People saying, they call me an Oreo. Then, you're only strong because you're Black, because Black people build muscles faster.
mhm,
You can dance. The only reason you're good at sports because you're Black. You can dance because you're Black. You have a long penis because you're Black.
yeah,
Like, yeah, all these other stuff, because I was Black, and like, I had to made people be like, were shocked that I had better grades than them. You know, I was in social studies, and she's like, "How did you get a better grade than me?"
Yeah.
Yeah, how, like, you're not smarter than me. And I'm like, why can't I be smart? Why can't I not get good
Right.
grades?
Right.
You know, what makes me different from you? Like, what makes you better than me? You know, and that you have to really have a huge tolerance. But I realized that tolerance became cowardness, because what I thought was tolerance was just me running away and not speaking up on the matters.
Yeah.
You know, I thought, um, that, there's certain fights you should fight, but sometimes you should be silent and shouldn't speak at all. But I feel like that was my cowardness, me not being able to speak up for myself, and a fake thinking that was my tolerance. Me realizing that, I was too afraid to speak up. I was too afraid to spark controversy. I was too afraid to spark conflict.
Yeah.
And I ran away from it. And so now that tolerance is now cowardness, and people don't change, and people kept on saying the same things. And instead of actually, being a man about it and confronting them about it, I just ran away from it, and isolated myself. And instead of dealing with it, I isolated it so like it wouldn't come to me. And
Yeah,
that,
I
that
had
happened
something
a
similar to
lot.
that too. Yeah, mine
And
was pretty much the same story, with just like the Asian bullying. 40 odd, they just kind of piled on, like, and I never said anything about it. I just kind of would like brush it off. But it was just like little things, like just little comments here, like, oh, you can't see because your eyes are too small, or like you're too smart, or like they'll just take my homework, um, or they would just call me like whatever, Chan, or like no one really took me seriously just because I was, half Asian. I was the only person who was at all Asian in the whole school, or my grade at least for 40 odd. Um, so that was definitely weird. I don't know. It definitely shaped me and made me more humble. But I don't know if I wish I like changed anything about it. Like, do you wish you had said something different or like reacted differently, or do you think it's okay now because it like shaped the way you are now?
I believe that it shaped the way I am now. I feel like no matter my elementary, middle school, high school, or even now college, the good and bad memories, I cherish all of them. And it helped shape me to who I am. It helped me understand my flaws and my shortcomings, and like what I need to do to grow. I always try to be a better person than what I was yesterday.
Yeah.
And nobody's perfect. We're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna have moments of cowardness. We're gonna have moments of bravery. We're gonna have moments of insecurities. We're gonna have moments, of pain. This is all experience in our lives. I was a young kid back then. I really didn't understand anything.
Yeah.
All the things I did, being like all the trouble I got, all the mistakes I did, everything that I took in from everybody. As a kid, I didn't understand anything. I really couldn't combat anything. Because I was a kid, I didn't know what I was doing. Even girls nowadays don't understand what they're doing. So how
Yeah.
do you expect me to understand what I'm doing? You know,
Sure.
and it was an experience for me. you know. And yes, I made mistakes. Yes, probably should stand up for myself. Yes, I shouldn't have took their shit.
Mhm.
But it already happened, and it's something that I just had to grow up with and realize, now, I'm not taking their shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to correct these mistakes that I did in the past, and I'm not going to do it anymore. I did that wrong. Okay, check mark, fixed it. I
Yep.
don't do that anymore. I'm slowly learning about who I am as a person, and slowly correcting all my faults,
Yeah.
that I have.
And I think
Like I said,
that's all anyone can do, you know.
yeah,
And I think that's what people are doing now. Hopefully, they'll continue to do it, and the momentum will not just like fade away. But I think it's like a pretty good call to action, just in general. Like, you don't have to post on Instagram just because everyone else is, and people are pressuring you to. Do what you think will spark the change. Because, like, yes, pushing it down people's throats will work a little bit, but it won't be out of a place of like authenticity. It's like the change will be superficial. So if
yeah,
everyone starts posting Instagram and you just see it more, it'll become more normalized, which will help. It'll definitely help. But real change like only comes from like within that, and you can't like put that in someone else. Like they have to see it for themselves. But hopefully, like seeing it more often, seeing it more plastered about being anti-racist, because like it's just not enough. I saw a Logan Paul clip where he was saying, it's not enough to be not racist. Like you have to be anti-racist now. Like that's the only way we're gonna get past this point. And eventually, hopefully, it'll be normalized. Like being racist will not be like, so prevalent, I guess.
I feel like
So
first one, people need to understand what being racist is.
yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't know what being racist is. I remember my freshman year of college, I had an issue with somebody, my roommate actually, one of my roommates. And he did some things that I truly didn't like. He was saying a lot of things about me that I didn't truly like. And I remember getting so angry about all the things he was saying about me right in my face that I think I called him like a white piece of shit.
Mm.
Out of anger. And like you have to understand, me saying that right then, it shows this disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
It shows some of my prejudice.
Yeah.
It shows that I make a distinguish on who's white and who's black. I remember I said that, and right when I said that, and that's when I was walking out, because he like I said, the stuff he was saying to me was truly unforgivable. And then I remember the biggest unforgivable thing he said to me. He's like, "You're fucking racist."
To you?
Yeah, he said I was fucking racist. And I looked at him and I was like, "I'm not racist." And I asked him, "Do you know the definition of what racism is?"
What do you say?
And he doesn't know. He just said, "But you're racist." And I was like, "You don't understand you need to look up the definition of racism, because by definition, I cannot be racist. I believe that black people, by definition, cannot be racist." And so when he called me racist, I was very offended by that, because I was like, "You don't understand what being racist is." Racism is defined as a power structure. I think everybody knows it's a power structure that allows one group a superiority to direct discrimination on people of different races. Racism, started back in the 1600s in the slave trades. Back in the day in the 1600s, white minority and black people united together. They were all, slaves back in the day. Irish people, British people, the minority white people and the black people, they did things together back in the day. And it's where the majority white people were, the slave owners. Black people and minority white people were coming together to revolt against, the superior white people. And the superior white people came up with a scheme. They said, minority white people, you're just like us. So let me give you black slaves, which then gave them their superiority. And then they came in, and then they, scrambled into, power. And now then black people were the only slaves out there. And so racism is nothing new in America, but too much of the conversation mistakes being prejudiced from being racist. Racism can only exist when one group has power to influence another. Black people have often been accused of being racist, by very people who were racist to them. This issue was calling black, like a black person racist, is that black people, by definition, I feel like can't be racist. Racism only exists within a power structure that is systematically and institutionally rewards white.
Yeah.
The closer you are being white, the more power you hold. Claiming that black people being racist, also known as that's reverse racism, often lacks the conversation about the necessary for being able to exercise power and authority, where are essential in components of racism. I think there's a really big difference for being prejudiced and racist. Black people can be prejudiced, don't get me wrong, but also cannot, but they cannot be racist since we hold little power to enforce discrimination against another group. We collectively, as a Black community, can't enforce you guys and discriminate against you. We can't stop you guys from getting jobs or, getting these certain scholarships or whatever. I don't know, just random examples. Black people are not excused from being prejudiced towards another group, like I said. This also doesn't mean they're not transphobic, homophobic, xenophobic.
Just specifically racist.
Yeah, just being specifically racist.
Yeah. In those arguments, it is important to understand formalities and definitions if they're going to accuse someone of something like that.
Exactly. Black people are the bottom of the totem pole. Since they are at the bottom of the totem pole, like the closer you get to whiteness, be it you being like not Black person of color, the more power you have to discriminate against Black people, since you have higher power. Black people just are often prejudiced and dicks. And don't get me wrong, we show just as much prejudice and discrimination against anybody also. Like they're not excused from that. However, there's little evidence that whiteness leads to systematic discrimination. Black people lack the power to damage the interests of whites, who are still the dominant group in America.
Definitely.
Like claims that Black people being racist, also known as, like I said, reverse racism, often lacks the conversation about the necessary of being able to exercise power. We can't exercise power and authority. So him calling me racist, I felt like he wasn't like, if I was very hurt by that, but also I realized that how much he didn't understand anything.
Yeah, it's definitely just him not knowing.
And not knowing like how much he never educated himself about, what it is to be racist.
Yeah, and that's why it's super important. Like just that, for some people, like just researching stuff like that that's what they need to be doing right now. They don't need to be watching anything. They don't need to be going to protest. Some people just literally researching some stuff is what they need. Everyone's in like different places, but I guess we can like end the podcast on like any specific calls to action you wanted to give to people in general, or like certain groups or certain ethnicities, or any kind of advice you wanted to give to anyone. This is your moment.
My moment.
We've talked about a lot, but I just didn't know if there's any specific you wanted to highlight.
Like I said in this podcast before, I think the biggest thing is just understand who you are as a person. Understand where you belong, and thus you can break the threshold and make it smaller, make it easier for us to understand each other, because we understand who we are and where we belong in this world. Change only happens when the citizen themselves sparks change. I feel like we rely too much on the government and politicians that oppress us.
Yep.
I feel like if we want to spark something, we have to do it ourselves. We can't rely on the government and politicians to do it for us, because they're the one who oppress us. They're the ones who don't give us enough information. There's a reason why like a lot of people are not patriotic, and that's because like, can we truly relate to America? Do we really know everything about America? Can we truly unite and say like we agree with everything America is doing when all this other stuff is happening? How can we say we die for our country when people don't even like our country?
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
very true.
And so I just feel like that the cycle of hatred is not going to end, but the evolution of humans will always continue. So as people evolve, people become who they are meant to be. As more people are born, and we become more inclusive, and people become more understanding, then like the cycle will slowly start to end, and a new breed of people would start living, and a new breed of people would spark change and spark new ideas and like live more united.
Totally.
So that's really all I have to say, I guess.
Yeah, that's dope. I think if people are listening, that's probably the best takeaway from that, is just to spark from within, do your own research, make it a priority. You got to prioritize stuff like that. It's got to be up there.
I feel
Not
like,
then no one can move forward.
yeah, I feel like, we all make mistakes, we all say things, we all do things, we're not perfect, we're all human, you know, no one person alike, we all have a side to ourselves that we don't want other people to see, you know, thus, we all come, at the end of the day, we all go back into the, into the dirt that whence we came from, and so like, I think the biggest thing people have to take out of it is you're human, and, that's all you are. We're all just humans. We're all just people on this world, and, we all should love and cherish one another, and at the end of the day, we should just be united as a whole and understand that, even though we can't understand your pains or like your ambitions or anything, we can understand that, we also might have those same feelings. We also might experience those types of feelings. And so like, we need to be united and help grow as one or something like that. Something like that. I don't know.
Beautifully put.
Or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's lit. I think that's a great way to end the podcast. Unless you have anything else to add, I think we can wrap it up.
I don't know. Yeah, my throat's parched. I need some juice.
Yeah, that's why I had like snacks next to me. But anyways, it's good talking to you. Hopefully I'll see you soon. I know I'm working like a bizarre amount of hours. I have like 1 or 2 days off every week. But if you are gonna come down, just let me know. I can try and get some days off. But
oh yeah, I definitely probably shoot down there, when everything
yeah, that's it. Yeah, we just never know when it's gonna happen. But
yeah, when like we can actually do something. I don't want to drive there. I can't really do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I know the beaches are open and
yeah, but you
some
can't
of the bars are open. But yeah, it's weird. The rules change like every day. You never know. But yeah, hopefully this stuff ends soon and we do that because hopefully if everything happens correctly, I'll be in Japan in September.
In September, right? So you decided to fully do it, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I just have to, as long as the work permit goes through, I should be good for September. And then you're probably gonna come up to Japan, so I'll probably see you there.
Yeah, probably.
Didn't you say you're gonna come back in December?
Yeah, if I work. So if I get a job, get money circulating, then I'll put that money aside, and try to bounce out there, come see you, during your time over there, definitely.
Yeah.
So like, hopefully, like more stores open,
Yeah.
fucking people stop applying for damn jobs that I want, so I can get the fucking job.
Wait, so it's the Dollar Tree thing that you have to interview for that, or you got it?
Yeah, I have to interview tomorrow. But honestly,
just like cashier or what?
Cashier stalker.
Okay, dope.
And so like, I'm gonna talk to him tomorrow. I see what game he's spinning, what kind of cash he kind of throw my way. I'm an experienced worker. I shouldn't be making like $15
You worked at Amazon.
Yeah, I should be making like $15, $17. I ain't
Probably,
trying.
yeah, you should. You should try serving.
I don't want that chump change $7.25 in North Carolina.
It's trash. It is trash.
I was like, dude, that's like gas money. I might as well just stay home. I save more money staying home than basically going to work.
Yeah, unemployment is pretty good.
I have an expedition, so I think gas it's like $70, $80.
That's
so if I'm making $7.25, and every 2 weeks, that's probably only like $100 and something maybe.
Yeah, you're pretty much paying just to get to work.
And like $80 of that goes into gas. Bro, my paycheck is like wiped. Like, why the fuck am I working? I can't do my dad's grass.
Yeah, no, that's actually a better way to make. I did that all through high school. I made so much money doing that.
That's actually cutting grass is a really good job, but like my dad's truck is not home all the time, so I can't put my lawnmower.
Yeah.
I have my moving lawnmower, but me like driving my moving lawnmower to every single place. You know how much gas I'm going to spend?
Yeah, that's a ton.
And so like if I have the truck, I can just put my lawnmower in the back of the truck, and then drive to those places, and then I just pull my moving lawnmower out, cut some grass. Yeah, probably like $40-$50 a lawn.
Maybe, that's what I did.
4 or 5 lawns, maybe like 4 lawns a day. So like $200 and something.
That's crazy good money. Yeah, $200 a day. Yeah, for sure. You should maybe think about that if the Dollar doesn't work out. But anyways, it's good talking to you.
It was good talking to you too, man.
Yeah. I guess I'll see you around when I see you.
Yeah, I'll see you. And like depending on how things happen, I'm gonna try to drive down to Charleston and
All
see
right,
how things look.
cool. All right, man. Sounds good. Have a good night.
All right, man.
All right, peace.